Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and the new episode of our online interview TV series. Yeah, we want to get, of course, an update today from Consolidated Uranium. And also, for the first time, we want to listen to Premier American Uranium, which is the latest spin-out of Consolidated. And we have here Phil Williams, founder and chairman of Consolidated Uranium. And also, for the first time, Tim Rotolo, who will be the new designated CEO of Premier American Uranium. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jochen. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Great to see you guys. And Phil, we have spoken several times, and I'm also very important. I'm a shareholder in Consolidated Uranium and also a shareholder in Labrador, and will be soon a shareholder in Premier American Uranium because, as I said, it's a spin-out. So, Phil, you maybe want to comment because it looks to me like the new baby is born again.
Yeah, that's right. And look, it's something that we've been talking about for a while, and you've been involved with the company since very early on. And spinouts are something that we've done before. You mentioned Labrador Uranium, and it was a really good way of unlocking value from that project, and particularly, and the way we see Premier American is very similar to Labrador, where we can take some of our assets that are non-core, we're not focused on, but marry them with other projects, and particularly people in this case, to create a new exciting vehicle. And in this case, of course, focused on the US, where we think there's a tremendous opportunity immediately in front of us. And so we're very excited to have made that announcement last week.
Okay, super. So which projects have you went into it?
Yeah, so this is important. So, and again, for yourself and some of your viewers have been following us for a while, the seminal transaction in CUR's history was when we acquired a portfolio of properties from Energy Fuels in the US. And those projects are in Utah and in Colorado. And the Utah projects are really our focus right now going forward. These are past producing mines in Utah that are fully permitted. We're working on them today, and we can get into that a bit later on, working on them, advancing them toward a production decision. As part of that package, we have the Utah mines, and that's Tony M, Rim, and Daneros. We also got a portfolio of projects in Colorado, Department of Energy leases. And these were very interesting projects with a history of production, with historic resources. But effectively, we weren't really doing anything on those projects because we're laser focused on the Utah projects. And then along comes Tim and Premier Uranium, and they have a portfolio of projects also in Colorado, very complementary. In fact, if we brought up the map, you'd see they're basically beside each other. And so the concept here was putting these projects together, putting them into a new vehicle, separate management team, separately funded, very similar to Labrador. Those projects could get attention. And importantly, within Premier, on top of those Colorado projects, there's a very interesting in situ project in Wyoming. And so a tremendous platform to get started, and very excited to have Premier now announced and birthed, so to speak.
Okay, super. Tim, then let's switch to you, Premier American Uranium. Can you maybe first say some words to yourself that our viewers get an idea who you are, and then let's talk about the company.
Sure. So I'm Tim Rotolo. I'm one of the co-founders of a uranium-focused investment strategy called CUR.V. Many of your listeners might be familiar with my partner, Mike Alkin, who's the founder and portfolio manager. We've been involved in the space since 2018, so have been kind of biding our time with the Premier assets, which we actually staked in that same 2018-2019 timeframe. I'll be the CEO of the company, and what we're trying to bring with this project is really a business that reflects how we think about investing in the uranium space. So we want to be highly opportunistic, highly disciplined with capital allocation, and really allow the cycle and what's happening in the market guide us, less so than just being purely bottoms up focused on the project. So we want to kind of marry this bottom up with the top down view in the same way that we think about managing the hedge fund.
Okay, super. Now I heard already ISR a little bit, but is it like a combination of hard rock mining and ISR, or is it ISR only?
No, so I think what's so unique about this combination, outside of the team, which are incredibly complementary, and I'll just say one or two words about kind of how the genesis of this combination was. I actually went out to see the projects that Phil and his team bought from Energy Fuels with Phil, and it was at that point that I realized that this would be a perfect opportunity to use the same template that they used for Labrador, which Sachem has been an investor in, and we've been a supporter of Consolidated since the beginning. But Labrador would be the template that we would use for Premier Uranium, and we would have the benefit of adding our existing Colorado assets to the portfolio of DOE leases. So we have kind of two flavors. We have conventional assets in Colorado, all of which have past production, and then we have this ISR project in Wyoming, which we call Cyclone, which again is it's advanced. It's not ready for production, but it's also not greenfield. And so that's, I think, really where the synergy was for us, is that the stage of both of these projects, both of these portfolios, is somewhat similar. And ultimately, I think from a risk reward perspective, there's enough there for us to have comfort to spend additional dollars. There's past production, historical resources in Colorado, and we have a technical report and drilling results from the last cycle at Cyclone. And so, we like where the market is in terms of both of those projects having real production potential. And as the cycle evolves, we'll decide where it makes sense to be spending money, or maybe there's parallel paths and we're advancing both of those. But we think they both have tremendous potential.
Okay, super. When you say production potential, can you say a little bit of maybe a time frame when you think it would be possible to go in production? I know it's a forward-looking statement for the regulators, but just to give us an idea, do we talk about 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
I think it's probably too early to make a prediction about that. And I think also that decision will be highly dependent on, the price of uranium.
Yeah, well, the price only can go higher.
That's for sure. Your mouth to God's ears.
I'm a bull. Don't worry about it.
We're very bullish as well. We think, from a macro perspective, we think the supply deficit is very, very significant. And I would say the rationale for doing this transaction now is highly driven by the fact that we believe the supply deficit is very large. We believe that utilities are going to require every possible pound they can get their hands on. And were those two facts not true, I'm not sure this would be a focus for us. But because they are, and they are significant drivers of our decision making, it made sense to try and advance this process now and think about, raising capital and really putting a team around these businesses that could help materially advance them towards production for when that day does come, that uranium is in the high 60s, low 70s, and becomes economically viable to restart these projects.
Absolutely. Great. You said already raise capital. We talked about capital already, spending dollars. So what is by now in the bank? When will be the IPO? I think it would be TSX, right?
Yes.
At the TSX within the next weeks or months, or how would that work?
So the intention, the company has raised about $2.6 million Canadian. Some of that has been spent already advancing projects. We've actually done a decent amount of work in the interim while we were negotiating the merger. We did some airborne geophysical surveys of the Cyclone project. We've done some land staking in Wyoming as well as Colorado to enhance the projects. The intention is to raise another $10 million Canadian and to list in late August to September timeframe.
Okay, super. And when I'm a shareholder in CUR, I get then automatically some shares booked into my account?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So as part of the IPO transaction, some of the shares that CUR is getting for its contribution of those Colorado projects will be distributed directly to shareholders. Again, very similar to what we did with Labrador. I think that in this case, it's a small difference. In fact, CUR is going to hold back some of those shares. And so CUR will remain a very big shareholder of the company going forward, as will Tim and the fund Sachem CUR.V. So from a capital structure point of view, this company will be very tightly held. and very well supported institutionally and by CUR as well.
Okay, can you elaborate a bit more? Maybe you or Tim, who will be the institutions? What would be percentage, let's say, also by management, etc.?
So Sachem Cove will own, the pro forma capital structure is about 28 million shares, and we'll own about 11 million of those, which we intend to be a long-term shareholder on. And then Phil, Consolidated will own about 3.75 million.
That's right.
Yep. And then about another 3.75 will be distributed to existing Consolidated shareholders. I don't think we're in a position to say, but who the new shareholders will be. But we've been getting very positive feedback from the institutional investment community, and hope to be able to speak more specifically to those investors down the line.
Okay, super. Now we will do that definitely then once you are listed, of course. But it's always of high interest for our viewers to see what's upcoming. Super. Maybe also a short update, Phil, from your side on CUR. That would be highly appreciated. We see uranium is over $55. That's fantastic. That's on our wish list. Hopefully 80 by Christmas. That's also on my wish list. I could imagine next year 100. Honestly, if you talk to other experts, they see already 150 within the next 2-3 years. Possible, I don't know. I sold my crystal ball last week. But yeah, what is going on with CUR, and what are next immediate steps you are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very busy on the ground, particularly at our projects in the US. Talked about those mines that we bought from Energy Fuels. We're actively working them right now. In fact, we finished drill programs at the Daneros project and at the RIM project several weeks ago, and we'll get some results out on those very soon. The real focus for us going forward is at Tony M. Tony M is the largest resource that we have in the portfolio. Again, this is a fully constructed, fully permitted mine. It was in production in the last cycle. We put out an updated 43101 resource on it last year, 8.8 million pounds of uranium at 0.28%, which is very high grade. And so what we're doing this year is right now we're permitting a drill program there, a larger program, 30 holes, potentially more. We're also going to open up the underground. And what our study told us last year was that on top of the uranium potential, there's very strong vanadium potential. And we know that uranium and vanadium come together quite often in deposits in this part of the world. So we're going to go assess that potential, and it could add significant value to the project. Importantly, with our deal with Energy Fuels, where we have a toll milling agreement and access to that mill can recover both uranium and vanadium. So if we can get a vanadium resource at Tony M, it can be very significant for the company. We're going to do that work this summer, and then ultimately that's going to work towards us putting out a PEA, which will highlight the economic potential of the project. And really, it's all about being positioned, ready to move back into production very, very quickly when market conditions warrant. And so these are the steps that we're going to take on that project this year. So lots of news flow, and again, we'll be articulating this plan in more detail in an upcoming press release from the company.
Okay, super. So tons of work in front of you. How does it look like with your financial situation?
Yeah, so we still have about $13 million in cash, so very well funded. We're planning to spend about $5 million in the US this year. Some of that's spent already, of course, with the drilling that we just talked about. So we'll end the year in a very good financial position. And so, yeah, I think we're one of the better funded juniors right now. And I think that gives us an advantage over our peers.
Super. Perfect. Gentlemen, thanks for the insight into the new company and also for the update on Consolidated Uranium. I have a good feeling that we talk quite soon. And we want to see, of course, Premier American Uranium then listed as soon as possible, because that's also fantastic to have a new company there. And Phil, please keep us posted. Tim, you too. And I wish you all the best and good luck on your endeavors.
Thanks, Joachim. Great speaking.
Thank you.
You
Yeah,
too.
ladies and gentlemen, that was Phil Williams, the co-founder and also chairman of Consolidated Uranium. And you heard also for the first time Tim Rotolo, the CEO of the new company and the spin-out company, Premier American Uranium. And I have a very good feeling that we're going to have in the next months and also years a lot of fun with uranium companies, meaning fun in that sense that we will make a lot of money, of course, because uranium, is over $55. And I must say, this is a breakout level over 60. It's a real breakout in the chart, and I have a very good feeling with Consolidated, also with the energy fuels deal, that we will see here one of the next producers in the US, and US uranium is really high on demand for the future, because remember, there will be a ban for Russian and also Kazakh and Uzbekistan uranium for delivery into the US. So I have a feeling that the US is now really doing the same what they have done the last 10 years on oil. That will be on uranium too. There will be hopefully let's say independent in their uranium supply in the future, maybe not within the next 5 years, but that will come. And so from that sense, it makes really sense to have great companies in the portfolio like Consolidated Uranium, and through the spin out you get also Premier American Uranium. Check it out. Thanks for watching us, and bye bye from Switzerland.